How many calories will you burn if you walk 10,000 steps? Well, let's you and I discuss. Hey, you, it's AD Roundtree. How are you? Welcome to this, your Wednesday edition of the show. Yeah, Wednesday. Excellent job, my friend. You are already halfway through yet another week. This is no small accomplishment. You're doing awesome. Hang in there. You got this. You are a badass. And if you need something, if there's anything I can do for you to make your Wednesday better, hit me up. I'm here with you. I'm here for you. At ADSXE is where you can find me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at ADSXE. Put it in your phone now in case you need it later. And if you want to support the podcast on Patreon, you can do that too. Patreon.com/ADSXE. That's Patreon.com/ADSXE. Like I've said numerous times, most of our conversations that you and I appear to be having on the podcast relate to health and mental health. And I think these questions should be, these conversations should be free to everyone for all time, in perpetuity. So I'll never put the podcast behind a paywall. I'll never charge a subscription fee. But if you do want to kick in something, you can do that. Patreon.com/ADSXE. And thank you so much to everyone who has done that. A couple of you have asked me to set up a PayPal account just because you don't want to create a Patreon account. You just want to send me $1 or something. I thank you. I really appreciate it. I got to think. I got to think if that's something I'd be comfortable doing. I think so. There's something about, I've always felt uneasy about that sort of thing. I've seen bands. You know what it comes from? I've seen bands that do that set up PayPal accounts so their fans can help pay for gas money to get to the next town when they're on tour, or buy them a new van or a new set of guitar strings or something like that. And when I was a kid back in the day, coming up, we didn't have any of that. We had to get where we were going based on our own blood, sweat, and tears. And the way we made money was by being awesome playing shows. And if we were awesome enough, we would come back and the crowds would be bigger. We'd get more money from the promoter. We'd sell more merchandise. And I feel like we did it off of our own blood, sweat, and tears. And now I see bands sort of crowdfund entire albums and tours before they've even set foot out their door or picked up a guitar. I don't have a problem with this, but it's something that, I don't know. I'm not entirely sure if I'm comfortable with that. But to those that say I should just set up a PayPal so you can buy me a cup of coffee without the middleman of Patreon being involved or you having to have an account, let me think about how I feel about that. And let me know how you would feel about that. I appreciate the support, and that's really almost enough for me. Just you asking is almost reward enough. Not the kind of reward that pays rent or buys groceries, but it is really, really cool of you. Thank you. I appreciate it. And I'll let you know where I fall down on that. And if you have any thoughts, you can let me know too. How many calories do you burn with 10,000 steps? Well, okay, I preface this the way I do all the fitness conversations we have on the show by saying, I don't know, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a trainer. I can just tell you what has worked for me. And well, I can tell that health, fitness, weight loss, fat loss, it's on a lot of people's minds at the moment. Spring has sprung. That means summer is just a hop, skip, and a jump away. And now is around the time where a lot of people are looking in the mirror going, this is it. This is the year I'm going to do it. This is the year I'm going to become a ripped, toned, shredded, single-digit body fat having super athlete with a noticeable six-pack that I'm going to be parading around that beach or that swimming pool all day long. It's going to happen. Because I've been getting more and more emails and messages about health, fitness, specifically those related to weight loss and fat loss. And, well, like I said, I don't really know what I'm talking about, but I do know what's worked for me. And this whole walk 10,000 steps a day thing, I don't know exactly where that comes from, but any steps more than you're walking right now are useful. And walking is a fantastic thing to do. I think it's so much better than huffing and puffing your guts out on the treadmill or the elliptical or on the stationary bike, killing yourself, doing really sort of stressful, hard cardio for two reasons. One, For me, it's more enjoyable. You might love the grind and the sweat and all of the above. That is where you and I are different. I like walk. It's relaxing. It's refreshing. It's a whole bunch of things that long, grueling, sweaty cardio are not. And not only that, if you are doing cardio because you are trying to cut some weight, drop some fat, whatever the case may be, I find for whatever reason, more aggressive, grueling, sweaty, huffy, puffy cardio will make me ravenous. Like I'll really, really want to eat after that. And oftentimes I do. And like I've said before, you have a couple peanut butter and jelly sandwiches after 45 minutes on the stationary bike, killing yourself, or on the treadmill or whatever it is. And boom, there goes your 45 minutes and you probably ate a little extra. So I'm a big fan of walking. Walking doesn't make me hungry, and I think sometimes it can take the edge off of your appetite too. Maybe that's just me. I don't know. But I got an email from Scott saying, "Hey man, I got on your diet and exercise plan and I'm feeling good. I've been doing it since December, minus some cheats around the holidays, and I've lost 12 pounds. I can't believe it. Thank you. Your plan makes it so simple." Well, that's really, really cool. It's not my plan. It's a plan that's been out there since the dawn of time. It's the plan I follow. I found it from a guy called, I found it online on YouTube. There's this guy called The Last Natural. You've maybe heard me talk about him on the podcast before. He's not trying to sell you anything. His plan is super basic. He lays it out very clearly, and he is a nurse, so he has a degree of understanding about the human body that most of us do not. So I found him to be trustworthy when I was looking on the interwebs for an educational source for exercise and diet. And I also found that what he outlined worked well for me. If you are interested in the plan, I can send it to you, or you can look him up on YouTube, The Last Natural. I 10 out of 10 recommend it. Also, he's pretty funny. Anyways. There's something I wanted to point out about what Scott said. He said, "I got on your diet and exercise plan and I'm feeling good. I've been doing it since December, minus some cheats around the holidays, and I've lost 12 pounds. Now, that's pretty significant. Losing 12 pounds, good job, man. That's awesome. But note the time that has elapsed. He started doing that in December, maybe the first time I started talking about it on the podcast. And, well, note the amount of weight he's lost, 12 pounds. How much time has elapsed since December? About 12 weeks. That means Scott is on an easy pace of losing about a pound a week. He's not doing anything crazy. He's not doing anything extreme. He's just staying consistent. And you'll notice that he, had some cheats around the holidays, as we all do. Trying to be rigid when you're having delicious homemade food put in front of you, trying to be rigid about your diet and nutrition, it's impossible and miserable, and you will not get the most out of the joyous freaking Yuletide season if you do it. So just observe Scott's results. Lost 12 pounds since December at a reasonable rate that allowed him to live his life and, eat some holiday food. So that's just something that I think is worth pointing it out. Take it slow, take it easy. Be consistent. The main thing is remaining consistent. Doesn't matter if you have an extra slice of pumpkin pie on Christmas Day. You just want to get back to your plan the day after, or maybe the day after that. But no matter how many days you blow it for over the holidays, you're not really blowing it. You're not really blowing it when you have a celebratory dinner. You're not really blowing it when you have, a cookie. You're blowing it when you don't get back on your plan after having overindulged for a special occasion. So good job, Scott. Take it easy on yourself, be consistent, and you're going to get where you're going. Scott said, "I have a question though. I'm down 12 pounds and I want to lose about 8 more. I only laugh because, we set ourselves these goals. We're like, I'm going to lose 20 pounds. And, I get it. I totally do that. I'm very goal oriented. And most of my goals have, when it comes to the amount of weight I'm going to lift or the amount of weight I'm going to lose, they always seem to have a 0 at the end. So I very much relate to it. I'm down 12 pounds and I want to lose about 8 more, but I don't really want to eat much less food. So I'm trying to do more exercise instead of eating less food. Aha. So basically what Scott's talking about, if you've missed the other podcast where we've talked about this, is you want to have a calorie deficit, meaning you want to burn more calories than you consume so that your body goes into your stored energy, i.e. fat, that spare tire, and starts to burn that off for the additional calories that you need because you are eating less food than you are burning, that calorie deficit, like we said. So Scott's trying to create a larger calorie deficit, not by eating less, but by exercising more. He said, I'm trying to do more exercise instead of eat less food. How many calories do you burn when you walk 10,000 steps? I'm lowering my calories with intermittent fasting, but I don't want to go much lower. I'm trying to burn more calories than I eat by walking instead of cutting more out of what I eat, but I don't know how much 10,000 steps burns. I use 2 different step counters and they tell me different things. How many steps a day do I need to do to lose 8 more pounds? Thanks, man. You've always made my day better when I heard you on the radio. Now you've even changed my health, Scott. Well, thank you. I really, really, really appreciate that. And yeah, there's no two ways about it. Getting healthy feels better. Taking control of something in your life that you have struggled with feels better. And I guess that's why I enjoy having these conversations, not because I am a doctor or a trainer, not because I really know what I'm talking about, but I found something that works for me. I'm an uncomplicated guy that doesn't like to do a bunch of fancy stuff. I tried a bazillion different things. Like I did all sorts of stuff in the gym, ran a couple different programs. I even tried that CrossFit thing for a while. And I know a lot of people really, really love CrossFit, but it wasn't for me. It was almost too complicated for my tastes. And it involved being around crowds of people, egging each other on. And that's great for a lot of folks. Not me. I don't like to talk to anyone when I'm exercising. I don't like to have a buddy. I don't like to be spotted. I like to be able to get in, get out, do my thing, and leave. And yeah, it does feel really good to do this. And I suppose that's why I wanted to share it with people when the questions started coming up. Just because, well, I found something simple that works a lot easier than a lot of the things a lot of people are trying to sell you. So I'm really, really glad to hear that, Scott. Now, your question about how many steps does how many calories does 10,000 steps burn? Well, here's the thing. I noticed you said you use a couple of step trackers and calorie counters and they're giving you different results. This is not uncommon. If I look at my step counter for today, I think it'll say that I walked around 10,000 steps and burned 433 calories. Is that true? I don't know. But what I do know is you want to pick one step counter and one calorie tracker and stick with that. It has been shown over and over again that the things that measure the amounts of calories that you burn are wildly inaccurate. And pretty much every device you own has one on it now. You got a step counter on your watch. You got a step counter on your phone. If you go to the gym and get on even the most basic piece of cardio equipment, a stationary bike, an elliptical, a treadmill, every single one of those things will tell you how many calories you've burned during your exercise. And almost every single one of those things is probably wrong. And I say that not because I know anything, but just because, well, there's been numerous studies that have found that some of those are off significantly, sometimes by up to about 50%. How many calories you burn doing any specific activity depends on a lot of different things. The larger you are, the more energy it takes to move your body around. So 10,000 steps for a 250-pound person is going to burn more calories than 10,000 steps for a 150-pound person. You're carrying around an extra 100 pounds. You bet your sweet bippy that you're going to burn more if you're carrying an extra 100 pounds around. There's just no two ways about it. So that step counter and calorie tracker that you use is probably inaccurate. This doesn't mean you shouldn't be using it. What this means is you should try to use the same one every single day. Meaning if you're going by the one on your phone, go by the one on your phone. If you're going by the one on your watch, go by that. If you're on a piece of cardio equipment, try and use that same piece of cardio equipment when you're really concerned about counting the number of calories you burned. Just because however far it's off, you want to be consistently off. So you kind of get your personal baseline. Does that make sense? Meaning, say you're eating, you didn't mention how many calories you're eating a day, Scott. But if you are eating, say, 1,800 calories a day, and you are trying to get into a larger calorie deficit. Say you expend 2,000 calories a day, you're cutting 200 calories out by eating 1,800 calories, and you want a larger calorie deficit of 300 or 400. Now, how are you going to get rid of the extra 200 calories? Walking is a great way to do that. But your calorie counter could tell you numerous different things as you're finding. So you're going to find a baseline. And, say your phone tells you you've walked 10,000 steps and you've burned 400 calories. Most people, I think, would agree that walking 10,000 steps, depending on who you are, how much you weigh, the pace at which you walk them, all these different variables, walking 10,000 steps burns between 400 and 500 calories a day. Walk 10,000 steps, you're probably going to burn between 400 and 500 calories. But it's important that you get that data from the same piece of equipment every single day. So you're working out a baseline. Your calorie counter, your step counter, they might be inaccurate, but you want to be consistently inaccurate so that you can go, all right, 10,000 wasn't getting the job done. I'm going to experiment with 11,000 or 12,000 or whatever the case may be. And by the way, that whole 10,000 step thing, I don't know who invented you must walk 10,000 steps a day, but you walk 5,000, 6,000, 7,000, whatever it is, you're going to be doing something. And you don't know how large of a calorie deficit you want to create. 10,000 steps might be excessive. The idea is to lose weight gradually, the way Scott has. It's more consistent. It's more likely to stay off if you do that. There are studies and hard data that will tell you that if a person loses weight slower, they are significantly less likely to put it back on. So going for that smaller calorie deficit, maybe 200-300 calories a day, the way Scott is, and losing a pound a week the way Scott is cool. And so, Scott, I would advise you to not necessarily walk 10,000 steps a day, but whatever you're doing now, if you first and foremost, you might lose that extra 8 pounds exactly how you are. If you plateau, if you notice that you're not losing weight for several weeks, well, then you want to explore a larger calorie deficit. Then you want to think about, either dropping your calories or upping your exercise. But you didn't say how many steps you're walking in a day. I would experiment with adding in 1,000 more or 2,000 more. Don't necessarily, like if you're only walking 5,000 in a day, see what going to 7,000 does or 7,500 and see if you lose weight. The idea, like I said, is to not do something super crazy and over the top and extreme. The idea is to be gradual, take it easy on yourself and get results in that way. Now, while how many calories you burn while you're walking is up for debate, one thing that's not really up for the debate is the amount of calories a pound of fat contains. Scientists have come to the conclusion that each additional pound of body fat you have on you is 3,500 calories of stored energy. Excuse me. Meaning, if you want to burn a pound of fat, you need to use 3,500 more calories than you consume. And you're doing this by creating that calorie deficit where you're burning 200-300 calories more a day than you eat and getting to about 3,500 calories of a deficit, which will eat away a pound of body fat. In theory, there's all sorts of variables and things of that nature, but scientists pretty much agree that a pound of body fat equals 3,500 calories of stored energy. So there you have it. It's sort of getting down into the nitty grit of how we lose weight and why we lose weight. And when we get down into the nitty grit of science and weight loss, that is where I check out, because I am not qualified to talk about this sort of stuff. But, your baseline is use the same step counter and calorie tracker every single day. It will probably be inaccurate, but you want that inaccuracy to be consistent, if that makes sense. And you can look at things going, hey, each extra pound of body fat I have on me contains 3,500 calories of stored energy. If I burn 200 calories a day, that's how much I'm taking. If I have a calorie deficit of 200 calories a day, that's how much I'm taking out of that pound of body fat. Does that all make sense? I feel like it got complicated toward the end, but if you have any questions, hit me up and let me know. If you know more than I do, which most people do when it comes to this sort of thing, feel free to chime in the comment section of any place this podcast is posted, and let me know how that works out for you, Scott. Thank you so much for hanging out. Thank you for being a part of my radio family. As always, this time that you and I spent together, it's the best part of my day. I'll be back tomorrow. We'll do it all over again. Have a great one. Later.